Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for showing up. Really appreciate it. My name is Brent.
I'm Derek, and we're here to talk about really something that's been kind of going in the rumor mill, and from maybe some of the other providers out there, that Magento is difficult, and we kind of want to just highlight that that's not really the case.
Yeah, I think the overarching message is that other SaaS providers are saying that their platform is easy. And we're here to say that, Magento is just as easy.
Okay. So just out of interest, I have to kind of get the mix of the people in here. So who here would class themselves as a merchant? Is there many merchants in here? Cool. Developers? And sort of like general agencies, technology agencies and the likes. Okay, good. Okay, there's a good mix in here. All right, so for those of you who are merchants and you maybe haven't used Magento or new to Magento, we are going to go through a couple of examples, and for people who are used to Magento, these will seem like obvious examples. Okay, but they're a good reminder tool.
From the developer standpoint, what we'd like to portray or convey here is that as a developer, you don't want your merchants to be asking you some of the questions that could be done in admin. So some of the things that we're just going to show you are how easy it is to do a lot of the tasks that don't require code editing, some of the simple tasks that happen in admin. And sometimes a merchant may get used to asking an agency or developer to do things like uploading a spreadsheet or adding products or adding a photo. We're here to just kind of help everybody understand that all these tasks that are done in the admin section are are not difficult and can be done easily by the merchant.
Okay, so we're saying there Magento is easy, but we're not talking like really easy. Like Magento is an e-commerce system. E-commerce is complex. That would be the same with whatever platform you look at. So here I've got a lemon, and if you squeeze that lemon, if you use your hand to squeeze that lemon, you get juice out of it, and we call that easy peasy lemon squeezy. So
that's an English phrase. That's
an English, yeah. Anyone from the UK will know that phrase. We use it all the time. The opposite of that phrase is difficult, lemon, difficult. But basically, that's not Magento, though. Magento isn't like that. What Magento is, it's more like driving a car. Okay, so at first, when you have to learn to drive a car. You have to, learn how to use the gears if it's a manual car. You have to obviously learn how to steer, indicate, all of those things. Once you've done that, though, it opens up a whole world of opportunities. You can drive places, you can deliver stuff, you can race legally, you can race illegally, you can do all sorts of things. So the world opens up, but actually the process of driving the car just becomes second nature. Okay, so that's where we're at with Magento. So it's
and this car is a SaaS car driving on the wrong side of the road.
This is a SaaS car, yeah.
And they've crashed.
This is the irony of this car is that it's driven into an optician's, which actually is my brother-in-law's chain of opticians as well. Anyway, that's another story. So the news is that Magento is difficult.
But it's not.
But it's not. And basically what the kind of things that are going around is that other platforms are maybe saying that Magento has a steep learning curve. It's you need a developer on hand to make changes, day-to-day changes, and simple tasks are difficult. And really, this is fake news. This is Magento, and we want to demonstrate is no different to any other e-commerce platform. It's been given this kind of label that this is the one that's difficult.
The SaaS platforms are into the mainstream media telling us this. It's not true. It's fake.
It's fake news. It's fake news. Yeah. So let's set the scene.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about what is the difference between SaaS and PaaS. So a SaaS platform is something that you're shared with thousands of other people. You're sharing the exact same code base as thousands of other people. If Magento would ever do something like this, they might call it Go.
Sounds like a great idea for a product.
Yeah, absolutely. But what it also means is that you are stuck with you have potentially are stuck with being down with the other 1,000 people. It also means that you can't do all the things that you would like to do because the framework that you're working in cannot handle all the customizations that you would like to do. You would have to do them in an external way and connect with an API. With a PaaS platform, so product as a service, which Magento is, you have a couple of really great choices. We can choose Magento Cloud, which gives you a completely running version of Magento supported by Magento, or you can go with a hosting provider that would give you the same experience. In fact, somebody like Magento would give you an already running version of Magento that they would turn on, and now you could start immediately selling things by doing some of the easy things that we're going to show you today.
Okay. So just on what we're going to do, so we're actually going to run through like 4 very brief examples of things that users may do on a day-to-day basis on Magento.
Each example is less than an hour.
Yeah.
There's only 4.
There's only four. They're very brief. And for some of you, you'll look at these and you'll be like, I know that. I just want you to, when we go through them, I want you to see them maybe through the merchant's eyes. And one of the things I really would love to go away with on this is that, that everyone's explained to merchants that, this isn't difficult. This is not groundbreaking stuff. This is, you just need to know what you're doing. So just a couple of things that we're doing assumptions on. I mean, payment gateway. So Magento can handle pretty much any payment gateway. There's some that are out of the box. So we're assuming those are set up already. Shipping, we're assuming, if you've got fairly basic shipping, then that's quite simple to deal with Magento. We'll talk a bit more about that later. And tax as well, we've got that set up. So, and we've also set up the general store settings. So the examples I'm doing are assuming that those things have already been done. They are fairly straightforward tasks, whether it's the agency, developer, or client doing those things, then either way, they're fairly straightforward to get set up.
A really good example, especially on payments, is if you're in a country that doesn't have the that gateway that you need to supply, you can't use that platform. With Magento, you can use literally anything, and if the payment gateway doesn't exist, you can create it.
Okay, so creating a product is easy. So I'm just going to quickly go through creating a product. Just on this, we've set up videos on this. Brent and I have done presentations before where we've done live kind of demos on stores, and they work fine. It was great, but I think we're chancing our luck. So I've done a couple of videos this time. So I'm just going to go through the creation of a product. Okay, so I've got a very short video here, just creating a new product. Okay, so for the customer, for the merchant, they just simply go into the catalog menu and go to products. And they go and add a new product, okay? So there's their product table, their product grid, and they add a new product. Now, the great thing here is the first tab when you're creating a product, if you haven't done any customization, that is all of the information you need to make that product live. Now, there's another 8 or 10 tabs underneath that to then enhance it, but I can actually go and create that product, and everything is in that first section at the top. And that's enough to go live with that product, which anyone who's used to Magento 1 would know that you had to go through quite a few different tabs to get to that information. So we've put in a product name, we've set up an attribute set already, we're giving it a price, and we're going to put our opening quantity in there for the product. Okay, and everything else is, I could just leave that default, I'll obviously put a weight in. Category-wise, I select a category we've already selected, but if the category didn't exist, I could create it at this point. And that's it. That's all I need to get that product up and live. Hit save, and now that product, once it's finished saving.
Yeah, so the idea here, too, is that these are the basic points that you need to sell something. And Derek and I, even in a basement in some hotel or motel in London, did this example live and sold something in 90 minutes at the end of the presentation. Yeah.
So there we've got the product. Now, you can see from this that, obviously, there's still work to be done on that product. So the next video is just simply how we go about the merchandising of that product. Okay, so let's look at that and see what that looks like. Okay, so same product, and now we're going to merchandise it. And again, from the customer's point of view, we're going to go in and give it a description. We like our descriptions to be in Latin because
it's English Latin, though, right?
It is English Latin, yeah. And I'm also going to create a short description there as well, so we just create that. So fairly straightforward. The short description is the above the fold. If you're using the standard theme is the above the fold description of the product, and then we have a more detailed description. I just go and pick a couple of images, open them. They get uploaded straight to the server. Okay, so there's our images. It's chosen the main, where it's got base, small, thumbnail, and swatch. That's asking it what role is that image. So that's the image that will be displayed when the customer goes to the page. If it's the base, small is on the category page, and the thumbnail is in the checkout. So I've swapped it so that image is the main one. Yeah, sorry.
And I just want to stress that this is real time.
Yeah.
And literally now we're 10 minutes into this, and we could be selling a T-shirt.
So one last thing I'm going to do on this as well is I'm going to add a video to it just to demonstrate that that's fairly straightforward. So we just get the URL from YouTube. So we have a video there. We just get the share URL of that video. So someone just working out where the share is. Okay, so we just copy that share URL, and then we place that into there. And that'll drag that video, or that will not drag it through, sorry, but that will link to that video and embed that video into that product page. So again, once I save that.
And just to emphasize for the developers who do this every day, this is something that you do every day, and it makes it simple. So the idea is that we can also help the merchant to understand that if the developer, if the agency is doing this for the merchant every day, that the merchant could also do this, and it's really not very difficult.
Okay, so there we have, very straightforward. A product is up on the site. Now, I know there's more we can do with that, but essentially, how easy is that? I don't get this notion that is something that is difficult, and yet that is something that's going around in the rumors, if you like.
And from a product beautification or making it enhanced, we haven't even began to add on all the different things that we could add on to that product to make it even better, from the Magento marketplace or from some other item that makes it look better.
Yeah. And then if we take that further, because that particular product there is a simple product with stock associated with it, but something like a T-shirt is likely to come in multiple sizes, and each of those sizes is going to have its own stock level. So we need to deal with something called configurable products, and this has been made very easy in Magento 2. So again, just going through, and again, I want you to just see this through, if you like, the merchant's eyes, what the merchant would be looking at doing. So I'm going to take the same product, which we created, I'm going to turn this into a configurable product now. Okay, so we go down to this tab here, which is configurations, and we create a configuration. Now what happens here when I click on that is it comes up with a wizard.
And again, if you're using a different platform, this would be sort of the parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
And Magento's made this incredibly easy to create these configurable products now.
So I've selected there that the configuration is going to be based on size. So I hit create new configuration. And what that does is it looks at the attribute for size and brings back the values that we've already created in there. So we've got small, medium, large in there. But I've decided this product also comes in extra large. So I just create a new value at that point as we're going through. Once I've done that, hit next. What it's going to do now is prompt me for whether I want alternative images on these. So this is worth playing around with. But again, it's fairly intuitive what's going on here. So I'm just going to apply some prices to the products. So we'll just set it so each variation is going to be £25. I'm doing it in pounds just because,
And this works in dollars too, right?
It sometimes works in dollars. So we select size there for the quantities, and then I'm going to put in all my opening stock quantities for these products.
So something else that Magento offers out of the box, it would offer multi-store, multi-language, and multi-currency.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the other ones don't offer that.
Absolutely, and that itself is fairly straightforward once you've got past the basics. So it's going in, it's going to create these products for it. Once I save this, then this product will now be come in 4 different sizes. Sorry, we'll just show that on the front end. Okay, so there we've got it, and we've got a drop down there which is choose size. That could be a swatch. It could be images. We can play with that in the configuration, but we've got those options there. And what it's done though is it's actually created 4 simple products, each of their own stock level, each of their own SKU. So if we're having to create these things on the fly, then we can do that very quickly.
And the theme So the theme you're using is just a blank theme with a different logo, right?
Yeah, it's the Luma theme that's being
the
used.
Luma theme.
So,
Okay. So the theme also comes with Magento. It allows you to use that theme, change some colors, and change your logo. Again, we demonstrated this the whole process from start to finish in under 90 minutes.
yeah, well, we did it in under 50 minutes in New York,
Right.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another story. Importing products. So this is the bit, though, that I feel is the real value add for clients. Whenever I do training, this is the one that changes how they run their stores, and it can be fairly straightforward. I think it's sometimes overcomplicated, the import. So I'm just going to go through again, just a very straightforward import. Once you've got a product database that's over, I'd even say over 50 or 100 SKUs, you really need to start using the import to keep it up to date. So we've got an import here. This is the CSV file. And I think one of the mistakes often is that you take the export file and use that as a template for the import, which is just the wrong way to go about it. Basically, what I've done here is just looked at what the required fields are for the import. And I can make this freely available if anyone wants this. And this is like almost the bare minimum information that you need on an import to create a product. So we've got along the top the attributes, and then we've got unique SKU, and you can see here I'm just about to copy that and create another product there. So this import is going to create 4 products, name, price, the quantity, so on. And that's just going to go straight into our product database. And so say this is CSV.
We can use the same procedure for doing updates. So the minimum would be the SKU, and if you wanted to update your quantity or update your pricing.
That's literally all you need is just whatever it is you're updating and the SKU.
The only warning I would say is just you update what you want to update. Don't continually update the entire thing.
So we're using the import facility here. There's several types of import. This is a product import, an add and update import type, and then we choose the CSV file that we want to do the update on. Now, when we choose the file, just get to the point where it's going to do it. Okay, so we choose the file, and then we click this check data. The great thing here is it's gone and checked the values of those attributes to make sure that they are valid. And so it's not imported anything yet. It's checked it, and it said it's all okay. And then when we import, that's when the import actually happens. So we have a little bit of a safety buffer there. We can be fairly confident that if it comes back saying everything's okay, then it's going to import okay. And there's the 5 products that we've just imported there, gone straight into the system. We could have included images in that as well. There's a slightly different part of the process on there, but and then you can see the
and again, this was in real time. It's a recording, but it was in real time. So even updating products on your website can happen incredibly quick.
Yeah.
And very basic and very simple.
So moving on. Okay, so that's the demos of that. What else is easy? I mean, creating promotions. We were going to do videos on all of these, but I know that a lot of you in here will have a lot of familiarity of how Magento works. But again, just want to demonstrate that it doesn't have to be complicated, and the merchants should be very comfortable doing this.
And these are for pointed promotions, right?
The pointing promotions, yeah. So it's just completely the wrong logo, but don't. Creating promotions incredibly easy, but be it an overall kind of catalog price rule for special prices, or be it a coupon code, whatever. You can go quite complex with them as well, and we've got products based on price, based on the customer type, so we can have different pricing models. Again, fairly straightforward to implement these, and I'm just going by my experience. Quite often, this is like you show someone this, and it's game changer for them. They're like, we've been wanting to do this, and they just haven't realized that functionality is there. So it just needs to be educated, if you like. People just need to be pointed in the right direction.
From the merchant side, somebody like Derek can help the client understand all the things that are already built in and you can use, and then they're very straightforward, especially the customer groups and tiered pricing. The things that you would use as a business are very easy to implement and use. And from the developer side, I just go back to, you don't want, as an agency, you don't want all your developers continually doing a lot of these things, especially on the product updates.
And then content pages. So at the moment, okay, maybe it can be seen as slightly fiddly doing content pages, but it's perfectly within the realms of. But obviously we've got the impending release of Page Builder.
Yeah, so Page Builder right now is out as a, you can get it early access through your agency, and that is a literal drag and drop tool to use for creating great content. And if anybody saw Igor's talk yesterday, it shows how simple and easy it is to make really great looking pages on your Magento site.
Okay, so what about maintaining the store though? How does that work? So obviously with a SaaS solution, someone else is maintaining it. How does it work with Magento?
Yeah, so I think that from a maintenance part, there's security fixes and things like that. If you were to go with somebody like Magento, who has a service that automatically applies your patches, or at Magento, we'll also do a fixed contract for a year to make sure all your patches are up to date, which means you don't worry about it. It's sort of like an insurance policy to make sure that all your patches are there. It makes it very easy to stay current and stable on the latest version.
Okay, so the last kind of point really is this as well. Magento is a big ecosystem of lots of very specialized organizations. You know, Magento itself does not do everything out of the box, and neither should it. So really, you know, leverage expertise from around the ecosystem. So if we take something like shipping.
ShipStation, ShipperHQ,
yeah.
There's some great partners out there that are offering great solutions for Magento.
So anything that's, you know, complex, then start looking at these. You know, likewise with tax. I always feel quite lucky when doing stuff in the UK, because tax is actually quite simple. Across the whole of Europe, actually, tax is very simple. I know it's not in the States. You know, it can be quite complex, but there's a lot of services out there that will aid that, and they just plug straight into Magento. And, you know, marketing-wise, you know, God, where'd you start? You know, there's so many good products out there that do that job superbly, you know, email marketing products, personalization products, and they just plug straight into Magento. And, you know, from a customer's point of view, these are you know, well-used products. So,
from a SaaS platform, a plugin usually means it's an external application that's running. For Magento, you can actually integrate it directly, so you have direct integration with all the tools and all the data with it that's already inside of Magento.
So
wow, that was really...
That was quite, so it is, it's, I think we're just trying to get across, you know, there's nothing I don't think we've said that is kind of groundbreaking or anything. It really is just reiterating that actually when you look at it, Magento is no more difficult than any other product, or no, you know, and in fact, you know, from my point of view, I think it's a really intuitive product once you get past that kind of learning to drive aspect of it. So yeah, so hopefully, you know, more people will actually come to realize that.
Yeah. So I think we're ready for some questions. I know this is really high level and it was very easy, and that was the point.
Such a great presentation, guys. Give it up for these two. So the fantastic news is this stage is on a coffee break until 11, so y'all can ask questions for like 20 minutes. But I wanted to make an observation that I thought was really ironic. It took 300 years for the UK to come back and hassle the colonies about their taxes. Seriously. Anyone else feeling ironic? So does anybody have a question? I know there have to be questions. You've got two of the industry's foremost experts on the stage, and this Magento's easy, folks. Anything up? There we go.
So I have a question about the import-export. So you showed four sort of byproducts there. So let's say, what about like, you know, so I'm assuming that those 4 or 5 products will just be either added. So you have the choice to, let's say, take all products, let's say 5,000 SKUs, take them all out and put them all back in, add incrementally, or, you know, are there other types of functionality within that concept?
Yeah, so the question is import-export. Can we take them all out, put them all back in? I'll let you...
In theory, yeah. If you did an export on you know, did an export of everything, and then deleted everything in Magento and then imported it back in again, it would import it exactly the same. The ID would change, which is something to consider on that. Is there a reason why you'd want to export everything and then import it back in again? Is there?
Well, sometimes maybe you want to make a large global change.
Yeah. So if you were making with the import, so if the products are already in the, in the site, and you want to make a change, say, to the price of all 5,000 of those products, then all you would do is you would create a CSV file that had the SKU and the price fields, and then you'd run that against as an import, and it would just change the price on those products. So yeah, you wouldn't need to export them all out and import them back in again.
So selected fields.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the messages I try and get across when I'm teaching this is that, less is more on import. So just have an import that just does the one thing that you want it to do, and then you're not complicating, and you're reducing the human error and making it just, I can focus on that one task. The import is so quick that, you can do multiple imports for different aspects of the product, do it that way. How do you want what, sorry?
How do you define the instruction set on the import? For instance, like, how do you say, I want you to do this at this time?
Having a timed import, you mean?
No, I mean, so let's say you have, you want just to update, colors on,
Yeah.
1,000 products. So how do you define, the instructions to Magento to just do that alone?
Well, you would literally just have that column in the import. So so the unique identifier is the SKU.
Okay.
So as long as you've got the SKU in the import, and then you have the color column, say, so you want to change the color from green to red on that particular SKU, you would just have the color column and say green, and it would overwrite what that existing value was, unless it's complex data. But that's a whole, there's a different aspect. So something like categories is complex data, where you can have multiple values for the same attribute. So you'd have to decide whether you're overwriting what is there or whether you're adding to the existing values that are there. But that's, it's all fairly straightforward. It's just, you just need to get used to it. Once you get used to it, it's like, it is very, from my point of view, I think it's very intuitive.
Yeah, and the key is there, you only want to put the SKUs on that you want to update. You don't want to always have your sheet of 5,000 and go back and edit it, because it will overwrite every single item that there is on your sheet. So if you have 5,000 SKUs and you have everything going to red, it'll change every single SKU to red, because if you only want to do 20, only put 20 SKUs on your spreadsheet.
So is there native versioning in the software, or do you have to use an outside service for version history? So I say, oh, I made a mistake, I want to go back.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that.
You could just go back with a new spreadsheet that has the corrections.
Yeah.
But if you updated all 5,000, you would have to do an export to remember what it was.
Yeah,
That's why I would say only do the minimum amount that you want to do.
So one of the
previous
things
version wouldn't exist.
What, sorry?
Revert to previous version wouldn't exist.
No, it doesn't. Not out of the box. I'm not aware of any products actually that do that either. But one of the things I do recommend is, especially if you're doing quite a few changes or you've got a day of changes, is to do an export of the products that you're changing that day. So you've got what they look like, before you started making your changes in a spreadsheet, and you just have that sitting there as almost like a backup. So at least then you don't have to revert to a genuine backup. So if you do make a mistake, at least you've got what it looked like before you started doing your changes that day. But yeah, there's no versioning, no.
Understood.
Thank you.
And now we've got suggestions for improvements to core, so please contribute that. I think we'd all appreciate that. So we've only got time for about 20 more questions. Anyone else? Here we go. All right.
Hi. I'm new to Magento, and my main question is, what type of themes would you guys recommend to building your online store?
I might throw that to you.
Wow, okay. So the first thing I would recommend is, so it depends how fast you want to get up and running. If it's something you want to do really, really quick, I would just use Luma. It's a great looking theme. I think the downsides are that there's some static blocks in Luma that are connected that you can't reuse if you remove it. So there's some specific data in static blocks that are connected with Luma specifically. But otherwise, the theme is great, looks great, easy to use. The blank theme is the second one that I would recommend using, which comes with Magento. The blank theme can be completely styled to anything you want. I don't recommend using like a theme from the marketplace. A lot of times those themes will give you a lot of extra features that look really cool, but they can also add a lot of bloat to your store. add a lot of things that you may not need, and they also might give you some performance hits. I guess finally, too, if you're on Commerce Cloud, if you're on the enterprise version of Magento, all those themes are built for community. It's not to say they won't work in enterprise, but what we found is that people that get a theme from a marketplace end up spending as much time modifying that the way they want it to look as they would just doing the blank theme. And the blank theme is going to be the fastest.
Okay, thank you. One more thing. What would you suggest for like any sort of online tutorials, classes to speed up my Magento progress?
We've got, if you go to our site, mazetraining.com, we've got a link there to on-demand training. So there's that. I mean, you can, or if you've got specifics, you know, quite often YouTube, if you just have a specific area you want to look at, you'll find some videos on that as well. We've got a step-by-step kind of guide, but it's kind of all out there anyway in different places, but you'd then just kind of hunt it in the order that you'd want to do it, but yeah.
In Magento, you will have some short videos for explanations. I'm doing the one on Magento migrations right now, so there's like 12 5-minute videos to help you through some of that process, but there's going to be all kinds of those videos out there.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that you're doing a tutorial on Magento migration. Would that be from M1 to M2?
That's correct.
What do you recommend for that? Because currently we have one of our websites that has probably over 5,000 SKUs that we're moving from M1 to M2.
I missed the last bit.
Currently, we have one of our websites that has over 5,000 SKUs. Do you recommend doing that through a third-party like extension that could possibly just grab the information and move it over, or is that something that's straightforward, moving from M1 to M2?
Yeah, so it is a bigger subject to the migration, but there is a migration tool that Magento gives us that gets all your data from M1 to M2. And so that gets you the great start just to move forward with your Magento 2 store.
Would that move sales data, customers?
It moves everything.
Okay.
Yeah, even custom data.
I haven't gotten to hand out many cards being the MC, so there we go. A repeat customer. I love it.
So you were talking about migration. So what about, let's say, migration from a non-Magento site to Magento 2?
Yeah, so the process would be very similar. The first thing you want to do is get your data to Magento. And so if you need, the most important part is, do you need all your previous orders and all your previous history from customers? Getting your orders into Magento is probably the most difficult part. And if you have 1 million orders, I would say it's going to be a lot of work getting 1 million orders into Magento. Getting your products and categories would be as simple as doing the spreadsheets. And there's also an import function from Magento for customers. There is a service, there's services like cart to cart that gives you full migration from Magento or from another platform. Like we've done Volusion and BigCommerce and Shopify that gives all that stuff into Magento. So once that data is there, then you start working on your store like you do any other store.
So really, as long as you have a CSV file, you can just modify the columns and make them match up with what Magento expects to receive. And
yeah, for products and for categories.
Right.
But like orders and things like that would be a little more complicated.
Understood.
All right, I'm going to give this gentleman the final question, and then we are going to break until 11.
Back on the subject of migration, I'm building a multi-site, and one site has, its own set of products. How would I be able to, with that same migration tool, is it, capable of moving another site's customer sales and products over without messing up invoice and invoice numbers?
Yeah, so I think what you're asking is that can I take multiple sites and merge them into one site, right?
Yes.
I don't think the migration tool can do that. There's a couple of guys from Magento in the front here. Can the migration tool take multiple M1 sites and push them into one M2 site? I don't think it can. Yeah. Right. You probably, we should try it.